Coming up next, I would love to call Professor Dr. Parvinder Singh, Vice Chancellor, Rayat Behra University. Dr. B.S. Nagendra Parashar, Vice Chancellor, Himgiri Z University. Dr. Aneet Bedi, Director, Gyan Jyoti Institute of Management and Technology. Professor Raghuveer Singh, Vice Chancellor, Tirthankar Mahavir University. Miss Jaskiran Kaur, Campus Director, SVK's NMIMS, deemed to be University, Chandigarh. And Mr. Tushar Kanwar Punch, Pro-Chancellor, Sri Sai University. Can we have a huge round of applause for all the panelists? So I think the theme has been pretty clear. So over to you, Mr. Aditya.
Industry, academia, linkage, partnership topics have been debated. There's been no topic, no panel, no conference of education. I'm sure all of you who are from academia and industry are being part of many such panels. So what we'll try to today next 25-30 minutes as some straight hardy questions to the esteemed panelists, both on the left and the right, and try and get to an answer. Maybe some answers which were not there before, and some answers which were there before and not being included there. So let me first start with the first in no particular order. We'll start with esteemed honor here and ask first the question. Just to set the context right. Do you feel is the linkage between industry and academia or the gap exists? Let's get that baseline clear. Does it exist? Maybe we can start from that side.
Yes, thank you. I'm Dr. Nagendra Parashar. I'm the Vice Chancellor of Himgiri Z University, Dehradun. To answer this question, yes, there is a complete gap between university and industry. And industry doesn't know what universities are doing, and university doesn't know what industry requires. Fortunately, I'm being associated with this internship program and university-industry linkage programs. It's my strong forte also. Since '98, ever since I was working in BITS Pilani. There is a huge gap. They say that there is an industry participation in the curriculum development, so that they have a participation of industry members from board of studies. See, just having one or two representation from the industry members in board of studies doesn't mean that there is a university and industry gaps are being filled up. So there has to be hands-on experiences, internship programs, and internship program also has to be done in a way it should be done. Going and touching the walls of the industry and then coming back, it cannot be called as an internship program. It should be done in a way it should be done. It should be a monitored internship program, credited, monitored internship program. So it should be done in a very classroom is shifted to industry. In that way, the program need to be done. To answer your question, sir, there is a huge gap between industry and academia, and that need to be filled. Thank you.
Maybe we can start.
Yeah, the thought is almost on the similar lines. There exists a gap, and the gap I feel from my viewpoint is that the pressing need is to prepare our fresh graduates to overcome and meet the industry needs. So we need to identify that there is a demand of the industry. We need to recognize it. We need to accept it that industry want our fresh graduates to be trained so that they can meet the expectations of the industry. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Professor Raghuveer Singh here. To answer your question, I'll go back to our tea time. My friend Professor Parvinder Singh, we were discussing something, and he said a beautiful thing. Industry and education are on the two banks of a river. From one bank, industry shouts loudly, and from another bank, the academia keeps quiet. So there is a gap. Do we all agree to that? Now, since morning we have been hearing, I have certain observations which I'll put. And these observations are very scary, let me tell you. There are 3 presentations which we said we have a very high rate of unemployability among our graduates. That's perfectly normal. When was it not? Can you ever reduce that gap? We all know, as educationists, there is something called standard distribution or normal distribution curve. There will always be people who are not employable. There will always be excellent guys. There will be normal ones within there. What we could do as educationists is try and push whatever we could them to make an employable. Right? So, and it's not so easy. It's not that easy. That it has to come from other part, which is a big part. That's in a student. Somebody said about engaging content. Said unless otherwise the student is prepared to be engaged, he would continue to be unemployed. Now, scaring away in other aspects also. You know, like for example, if you look at from, especially after, Corona, there has been hundreds of ad tech companies. Everyone is giving everything from admission to placement. So it appeared to us, let's remain wherever we are in that corner of, or that bank of the river. Because they are going to do everything. But please understand what's our issues. Don't try to put anything and everything which even we don't need. Right? You talk to us what we need and provide that. Now, if you don't come to us and keep shouting from other angle, this problem will never ever be solved. For example, I just say, industry-ready student who understands it. What is the parameters? Can you have an industry-ready student? What kind of skills you are talking about? What kind of knowledge you are talking about? Skills are not understood. I'll give you one simple anecdote of how skill is misunderstood, let me tell you. About 2 months back, we were in Delhi and discussing about skill. A friend of ours, of course an educationist, and another friend from a very big ad tech companies. I said, skill cannot be taught over technology. So those 2 gentlemen almost pounced on me. No, we can. We have been doing it. I said, then you don't understand what is the skill. Please go and refer various models of skill given by, at least I can name you 5 of them, including patents, including Miller's, including Posner, and including your levels of education. What we all are talking about is basically a know-how aspect of knowledge. That means you know how to do a skill, but you are not able to do it. Can you do it on a platform of technology? You can only see and observe. A lot of people come to us, we being a medical college, say, we provide you AR, VR, MR, all kinds of immersive technology, where your students can be skilled. I said, operating a live guy and operating on your software that is simulated, is it the same? So those concepts have to be understood before we try and drive it. Thank you. That's my take.
Thank you. And I'll change gears and then come to you and then come this side. Is that, what I'm hearing the panelists say, the gap definitely exists. So let me ask you a straight question. What keeps it there? Why is the gap there? We have been talking about it for years. दुनिया में वॉर की प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो गई है, इन्फ्लेशन की प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो रही है, ये ऐसी क्या चीज़ें जो हम सॉल्व नहीं कर पा रहे? What is the reason why it's being there like that? So we start with you and then we come this side.
Very good afternoon to all. My name is Tushar. I'm the Pro-Chancellor of East University. And I think all the 3 panelists have given a very broad context of why the gap is there. But when you have asked me this question, what I believe is that this gap is mainly because of 2-3 reasons which are prevailing these days. The first is industry skills are changing on a very fast pace. You learn a skill now, you're not sure that after 3 years you might need that skill or not. This is one thing, it's changing. So that's how I see academic institutes has to put in a lot of efforts to upskill themselves. And the communication, a lot of big universities, if you see, if you go a little down into their working of their courses, the courses which are linked with industry are performing better than the applied courses in a lot of universities, I'm assuming. This is how I see this. So industry is coming in, skill set is changing on a fast pace. Now, Industry 4.0 needs that academics also needs to improve very fast. So that's the idea, so that academics has to step up, and not only internships is the solution, I think the upskilling part. All the technocrats who are working, they also need upskilling at one point. And I think our faculties who are doing very good should go there. And the concept of professor of practice, I think this is a very buzzword in these days, that professor of practice should come in. UGC is also allowing a lot of professionals to work in this. So I think all these things are really matter of which is the point of discussion. I think we'll take this forward from how, what are the expectations also. I think we should see that just the one-side communication is not very healthy. It has to go two-side, from academics to industry, industry to academics.
Thank you. Ma'am, your thoughts in terms of, the gap, what is keeping the gap there?
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Professor Dr. Jaskiran, Campus Director, Narsi Munji Institute of Management Studies, deemed to be University Chandigarh campus. I've all round, started my career from Singapore till now, throughout in the education. As sir has very rightly said that, no one is asking what is required. We always say that, we are going to produce industry-ready students. So I still remember your last panel discussion when you said it should never be industry-ready. It should be a future-ready. Last when we met like this only, we keep sharing stage, Actually, if we all see, what COVID has done, actual COVID warriors were the teachers. We can say doctors were on the ground, but who has held that youth? And how we have learnt, one of the speakers said that, in the morning session that we should give that award to COVID. There are certain things that, we need to understand that teaching is such a profession that creates a lot of professions. Have we ever deliberated what is required there? What exactly is going through that production phase? When the student comes, how we mold them? I don't know, there are a lot of facts and figures that support that a lot of innovation is happening in the campuses. You talk about patents, you talk about researches, all is happening in the universities and campuses. Why is it so? Because no doubt students are vulnerable, right? We give them direction. We give them base to explore what best could be there. At NMIMS, we change curriculum every year, up to 20%. And in the panel, in Board of Studies, who sits? A concerned industry also sits. But industry person need to bring not what is currently going on, need to be futuristic. When other universities launched business analytics, operations, and when it was launched in the premium universities, the reason is only one thing, there'll always be a gap. I fully agree. We cannot fill that gap, but there has to be always an effort to build it. And to build that particular gap, we need to have these kind of deliberation, focused deliberations, in which industry-focused deliberation is going to give you some kind of output where industry is going to be in the future. Almost more than 60 to 80% jobs are going to be fading, Chat GTP has come. If I ask them to make my social media plan, what should be there? That is making too good. I took one master class on Chat GTP. That time I gave their drawbacks. And so ChatGPT 4 has launched, by overcoming those drawbacks also. Now that can even look at the picture and tell everything. It has got that emotional intelligence quotient also in them. We need to tell our students how strongly, how smartly they are deliberating, they are actually exploiting these kind of technologies for a better decision making. Our education should be practical oriented, case study based, even in economics, accounts, you talk about any engineering subject, any applied sciences subject. We are changing, but we are changing for the future, not for the current industry. Because industry is also not going to be the same. The era has changed. When IT companies used to come, take a bulk number of students, give them a training offshore, and make them sit, do C, C++, whatever best technology is required. Now they want student to be futuristic. They should know what is upcoming. What all of us have studied, we are not teaching the same. At least I'm not teaching the same. I'm a finance teacher, and what practically I'm teaching now, I have not studied. So we have to make our student throughout the learner. If they are throughout the learner, they'll be adaptable, they'll be able to bring those change. But yes, connecting to the roots, always they need to understand that humanity also. There we are struggling, that where that bar need to be fit in. That's my take on this.
Thank you, ma'am. And before I go to sir, one thing which ma'am said, and I would just want to take, she mentioned it casually, but I'll just like to reiterate. She mentioned that teachers were the real COVID warriors. So I think teachers on the stage, as well as teacher in the hall, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of the heart. You deserve a big, big thank you from all of us, because I know my kids are in school, and I know what transformation had to be done overnight, etc. So thank you from my side. Sir, over to you for your remarks.
Thank you very much. First, we are thankful to Connect Now, LinkedIn, and College Dunia for making this event in Chandigarh. We are privileged and feeling proud that the galaxy of the educators, policymakers, vice chancellors, school principals, they have come to city beautiful Chandigarh. So on my own behalf, I accord a very warm welcome. Belonging to Chandigarh, it's always pleasure to have the educationists who can have the brainstorming sessions. This topic, which my colleagues, they have already discussed in detail. First thing is, as we are saying, there is a gap, and we must understand the academic institutions, higher education institution in particular. We are giving birth to the industry. No industry has come up in any part of the globe without the roots in the academics. All entrepreneurs, they are taught in the higher education institution. They have been taught the skills, how to carry forward their business, how to scale the heights of this success. The skills have been given to them, the basic have been taught to them, whereas what lies the difference in the academic institution which has provided the ecosystem, who has provided the environment of sustaining to the hardships. So innovation is taking place, talent is there, only industry can provide the financial stability or the human resource or the technology to do the experiment in the university. This is 2023. With only 60 seconds, I can narrate. In 1996, I was a research scholar in Australian University. I was working in Western Australia University. End of the week, I will get a fellowship from the university via some industry. So this is not a new concept. We are perceiving and we are creating hype for this thing. There is a gap of academic and industry. No, we should not. We should excel the best in the academic periphery. Industry should give their requirement. Only thing is the academicians, the researcher of the universities, they need to think out of the box. Instead of doing the publication or doing the research in the lab itself, they have to go to the industry to ask what is the need of the society. They need to become little bit commercialized, sell their product, sell their research activities, and so that it is transformed for the need of the society. The purpose of academician as well as the industry, it is more or less same to serve the society and to meet the requirement of the stakeholder. Government comes into picture also. Government is on the top, academic institutions are there, industry is there. So it is a triangle which is moving from one direction to the second and second to the 1 to 3 and 3 to 1. In our India, we all know that more than 1,050 universities, around 400 public universities, and almost same number is reaching by the private universities, more than 50,000 colleges. So the enrollment figure was given by one of our worthy colleagues. See, this is our fraternity. So we all need to think together without making the hype. There is a gap. As my worthy colleague, Professor Raghuveer ji, Vice Chancellor, was saying, we are standing on the bridge. Second party is standing on the bridge. We are not able to bridge the gap of academics and industry. The alarming situation has come when the NEP has been implemented. GRE must be met. In GRE, industry will not play any role. We have to come forward. The call is to be given by the academics only. If we are to serve the society, we need to tell the industry this should be done on priority. We have seen the academics, they have worked very hard when we have discovered the vaccine for the COVID. It was industry but supported by the academician. It was a joint venture and we had been successful. Indian community was most successful for introducing this vaccine for the COVID. So this was one lesson to us. There is a second lesson. We are going for the timeline agenda. And we cannot wait for industry to tell us and to guide us and to dictate us. So they are our helping hand. As we have seen, as Dr. Manna very rightly said, and I appreciate that, if we cannot make product available, if I am to make, I will make for one only, but they are to make for the hundreds. So that is the spirit which is required. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Very well put. Sir, if I may start with you this time. You mentioned about the technology, in the medical college, AR, VR, and operating a live person versus using AR, VR. Now, with technology getting into education, even more is inevitable. As ma'am was talking about ChatGPT and other stuff we keep reading about. So how does the role of a teacher change, number one? And how can we leverage technology to bridge this gap even further? So if you can say a few words and then we can go around the panel on that.
Okay, thank you. I'm not saying that technology is of no use. That's not my take. Technology has its own place. You see, let me recall you a model given by Simon Sinek. It's called Golden Circle. It's before you start anything, you find your why. So let me, at a university or individual, let me find my why. Why do I need the technology? What's the purpose? Right? Unless I have an answer to that, technology will not help me much. Right? Whatever the technology is available. See, the way ChatGPT is developing, or so many other AI ML tools are developing, I don't find it's much different from existing physical coaching classes. At what level they are doing it. You are providing answers, no? So when you provide an answer, how do you develop cognitive skills of a student? And that too, higher level skills. And if you don't develop that higher order cognitive skills of the students, you don't prepare them for future jobs. Right? Future jobs, you don't know how complexity, what kind of skills are needed. But if you develop their thinking, you are preparing them for all those challenges in the future. Yes, technology, whatever the amount of time I spend in giving them the lower order thinking, that is especially for understanding a particular concept, or even to the level of procedural knowledge, I can offload it to the technology. But technology as of now is not able to process higher order thinking. Right? And so that is where I'm saying, let me find my why as far as the technology is concerned. Technology has its use, it will continue to, and I'm sure it will continue to be far more invasive not only, classrooms, even beyond the classrooms. But the problem is, bridging this gap, right? Let's look at, there is no ecosystem developed in the country as far as industry connections are concerned. So I suggest a model called triple helix model, where you have three organs of a country engaged in, developing this. That one is the government, second is university, and third is an industry. And the universities have to be catalyst. And also look at that, for none of them, developing this industrial relationship is an important organ, because each one has their own business. So it is just one of those things where they need to put a least effort on it. Please remember this particular fact. Okay, so the government has to come out with those incentives and change in various laws to facilitate industry so as to put in more efforts to it. Because, if you look at today, industry doesn't spend, even few hours for 2 months of internship of a student. So what does the student do there? Now, how would they, unless they have an incentive? Similarly, the government doesn't have that wherewithal to, put everything into order. So that is where university needs to provide necessary guidelines to the government so as that they are facilitated. Similarly, universities have to catalyze themselves unless this is done, or you can further go at quadruple helix model also. That is involve NGOs, technicians, all those people around, they can also facilitate you. So unless otherwise there's a model developed, this particular gap would continue to be, even grow more and more rather than bridging this particular gap.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am, from your perspective, quick question, quick on the tech side of it. How can tech help us leverage the, bridge the gap, if there are any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I speak with my Gyan Jyoti experience to you, that when I work with the students, see, a lot of simulation games which the technology is helping us bring to the classroom, it is bringing along with it the multidisciplinary exposure to the child. It is just that is where a role of a mentor or a teacher will come in, where they have to make the child understand that to what level you have to engage with the technology. And it is the role of the mentor at that level where that engagement is very fruitful. I see it from the HR perspective, all the recruitment tools we are using, the simulation games we are using in the classroom, the case study methodologies that we are using in the campuses. This all is giving a kind of exposure sitting right in your classroom. So the child is making good use of it, but yes, somewhere there is that strata also which has thought of that, okay, there is a Google for everything and there is no role of a teacher. So we need to make that student understand, and that will happen, the right teacher. There is a poem which says the good fences make good neighbors. So it is the same thing with this, that the good teacher bring the good student into the classroom and all. So technology is the co-function, but it is there to be mentored well to the student. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Final question to the entire panelist, and we'll, in the interest of time, I've already been reminded that we have to wind up in 5 minutes. We'll start with you, sir. Any best practices, any solutions which you have implemented in the past which you would like to share?
So the best practices, if you would like to say, one thing, as I told you in the beginning itself, the internship has to be done in a way it should be done. Whenever we start out bridging of a gap between university and industry, first thought it comes to mind is that the internship. But what most of the universities that I know is that they send the students to the industry, they come back with a report based on the weight and volume, the grades are being awarded. That's not correct. It should be institutionalized. It should be institutionalized, mentored, monitored, credited internship program should be done. That should be done. Number one. Number two, why the reverse of internship is not possible. Like, why I cannot bring an industry project into a university where my faculty and students work on it together. That's another thing. As my panelist, Mr. Singh was mentioning, Parvinder Singh was mentioning, we do a lot of research. Why can't we take up a PhD problem, research problem related to industry? Now, most of the research, what we do in the country is that, we plot graphs, develop equations and forget after we submit the thesis. But Can we do an industry-based related research? My son is working in Germany, and he says that, like most of the research, not most, 100%, all research are industry-based. Can we look from that perspective, take industry problem and take it as a research problem? And when I do some research in the university, can it not be commercialized? Can there not be a separate center working in the university to commercialize the results of the research in the university to the industry? And can we not go to the industry and ask their problem and come back and work on it? Like, these are all the several ways that we can look after. Say, we can, even the industrialists who are sitting here, like, they can form a panel and look for industry who can solve their problems. So this is the way, like, now assertions are going from university and industry. Now university is also coming forward to fill the gap, because they are understanding that until unless I'll go to industry, understand their requirement, I can't meet them. As madam says that, just it is not industry ready, it is future ready. So I can't produce my students for future ready until unless I know the requirement of the industry. So even universities are coming up, and industry is also coming up. They come and, I interviewed 20 students, but I could not select one, because it's not only our fault, it's your fault too, because you have not come forward. So now the assertions are going, young blood is coming, they're coming forward. Because when I started my internship work at 98, they used to say that it is we don't have time, we don't have time. Like that they used to say, but today they are coming forward. Can you send me a student who can solve this problem? As madam was mentioning, like multidisciplinary approach. These things are coming, and we have to come forward. As I told you, we can start with internship and we can take it a long way. And we have to do it even for our university survival. In the last panel discussions, we were discussing about what should be done to increase admissions, this and all these things. If you look at quality, quantity will come. And looking at the quality, yes, it is industry-based and in industry-relevant curriculum, which makes the student future ready. Not industry, future ready. Thank you.
Sir. Thank you. Sir, over to you. Any thoughts on best practice and anything which you've seen it has worked and can work?
Yeah, I think quickly, I think we're running out of time. Two things which we are working very closely is, one, we're trying to train our teachers, and we are trying to ask them to go back to the industries for at least few time. This is one thing which we are working on a pilot project, and we are trying to cope up with a lot of regional SMMEs who are there around the vicinity. Second is that, yes, the technology partners like upskilling of maybe LinkedIn Learning is there, a lot of other partners there, which will evolve them during this course of study. And third is, we are looking for best professors of practice, as I mentioned earlier, to bring them to university and teach our students so that they give them the real edge and give them to ability to think beyond what is their capacity. Yeah, this is the things we're working on.
Thank you, ma'am. Over to you for your thoughts on the final thoughts on the best practices and solutions.
Yeah, thank you so much. After this whole discussion, there's something that is coming into my mind, the way sir was telling model, and Pravinder sir also said. I think being an academician, we need to focus on lead indicators, then the lag indicators. Till now, we have been working on lag indicators, when the students are reaching towards the end. So what all is required. So we are focusing on that. I want if we start working on lead indicators, from the starting off, it's a 3-year degree, 4-year degree, 5-year degree integrated course. If we focus on, lead indicators from the start, from that specific industry, we will be the winners. I do feel this. And then, yes, professor of practice will always add to this thing, because bringing industry to the academia, it's like an icing on the cake, It will always add to the exposure. It will always tell them what is expected. But I truly agree with this triangle that we need to work on, and education need to be given that due credit, that they need to form the policies, and government and industry to be in line. This is what I could say in the end. Thank you.
Ma'am. Sir, your final thoughts.
You see, first thing is, whatever we have to do, we have to take our students on board also. As I said, there is a diversified culture in our country. We need to identify our university need to serve which industry of the region. And then industry must come forward also. We are we have planned almost that the 30 to 40% curriculum will be designed by the concerned industry. We have opened the industrial offices in our university, and that's really appreciated by our student. As my fellow colleague was saying, internship, not only internship, but full curriculum should be taught by the industry also. The practical skills must be given by them. Some instruments, some equipments which are not affordable by the university, whether public university or private university, it should be a courtesy call by the industry also. If they need us, we also need them. So it is not that the product is required. When the raw product is going in the market, that is not usable to the industry. So they need to invest in a particular academic institution also. We are only 1,000. Industry is in more than lakhs. So they must owe the social responsibility to own some university of their region and claim it to be that this is our social responsibility, not only CSR, but the SR also. And there is a SR of the university also. If they have taken something from the industry, for how long we are to return to that industry? Industry means the stakeholder. That's the public, the user, the customer. So that should be the alliance between the university as well as the industry of the particular region. This is my final call.
Thank you, sir, and thank you to all the panelists. Just some few final thoughts from my side. I've been lucky to be part of this industry for last 8-9 years, and have seen. I've had senior positions in corporates like Bank of America, Grindlays, ANZ Grindlays, and GE, etc. for years before I joined the investing side, which is a private equity fund, ran a tech company, and now part of Veranda. So a couple of things which I have seen. One, a simple piece like in solution country like India, we cannot have anything which doesn't take care of masses. As sir was saying, we have to take students on board. I mean, a Chandigarh maybe or a Delhi is not the right this thing. How do you get to the last mile? The current government has done a lot of stuff in terms of the Jan Dhan, Aadhaar, mobile, the Trinity as we call it, and opening the accounts, etc. So how do we make education the last so that we are able to touch masses? We talk about India Stack in UPI, India Stack now in ONDC. How do we talk of India Stack in education? So just leaving this thought, I wish I had a solution. I would be, as a capitalist, I would be raking in millions, but I don't. But leaving this thought with this group, that how do we make E as the fourth pillar of the JAM Trinity as we call it, and how do we create an India Stack out of it? And you know, the focus on the Antodaya Sarvodaya philosophy, how do you get the last mile going? That's key. Second piece is, how do you leverage technology to make it a scalable blended solution? It's neither pure tech, neither pure nor pure online. It has to be a blended one. Last but not the least, the entire piece around the industry academia in linkage. I think time has come now to fix responsibility, create action items, and address it. We at Veranda, what we have started doing is that a simple solution we just put in place. Any course, any business, anything we are launching, we just put one thing in place, that unless we are able to clearly define a measurable outcome to the course, irrespective of whatever money we are making, we will not launch the course. Such a simple solution. I mean, sometimes it becomes extremely frustrating. Teams will come, ask questions, why can't we launch it, why should we not do it, etc. And that's where the leadership puts its foot down and say, is there an outcome for the student? Working professional, student, whatever the outcome is, can we do that? That small shift has just brought in the thinking. So I just thank everyone for their patience in listening to us. Thank you the fellow panelists for a discussion and some creative remarks. We hopefully have given you some time back, and so that we can break on lunch. Yes, sir. A little bit, at least. Yeah. Much better, sir. The the question he has is how is the investment on the faculty? So if any one of you can address that question quickly,
Yeah,
and
because
then
there are lot many things coming up in AI and ML. And when we go to campus, so basically we talk to faculties also. How are they teaching the students? At times we got to know कि data base का faculty था, उसको अगले दिन बोल दिया कि आप AI ML पढ़ा लो. So all these things are happening. And when I talk to students, 50% of the students are not able to code a simple program. So something is missing somewhere, because when we go to campus hiring, we also get similar thing to focus on. So how our academy are taking care of these things? Thank you.
got it. Thank you. If anyone can answer that question, and then
I
we'll
just want
wind
to
up.
ask you a question. What percentage of people or students are not able to do it?
Around 40 to 50%.
Perfectly normal. There's nothing wrong about it.
Okay.
You go anywhere across the world, times back to immemorial, it has been there. It will continue to be there because there is much more in developing a child.
Sure.
You know, not just educating him. You know, you got to look at the child itself, what distractions he faces. Because you don't teach a child, or he doesn't learn in the classroom. There has to be beyond the classroom, the society from which he comes, the parents who are. So it's a very complex. So let's not make it as simple as it is you are developing a tech.
Yeah,
Right?
you're right. You're right.
So if it is there, 40%, I accept it, it is a normal.
But sir,
Yeah,
how-
we can improve this. Yes,
that is
we
the
can improve
point.
this.
So-
See, the kind of expansion of education we have had in our country for last 20 years has been tremendous. You can't fill that gap of it, highly skilled teachers. When you go back to the 80s and 70s and 90s, we had excellent teachers. But at that point of time, our education didn't grow that fast. Now it is too fast. It will take some time. There is a time gap. I think we'll be able to do. We all. How young we are as a universities, private universities.
So we are willing to help from the industry.
Yeah,
side
we are ready
also.
to take it. That's why I said we are
Yeah.
on the two banks of a river. Please don't only shout, travel. Take a boat, travel to us.
Sure.
Or we will also try and take a boat, meet midway at least.
Yeah.
We'll solve the problems.
Because this is going to help us
Yeah.
in the end only.
I think in the
Just a
interest
brief
of
note
time,
from
we've
my
already-
side. Yeah, with the interest of time, we can
time.
carry on this
Yeah,
discussion.
over lunch. Over
Yeah,
lunch.
over
yeah.
lunch.
Time. We take this feedback, but your question was how much we are developing on a faculty. If you have been to Narsi Munji, you must have seen the concept, how we do it. I think this is the only campus that gives 7th pay scale along with 60 days holidays also. In that, they are supposed to do their faculty development program, which happen in either of the campus as per the specified change in the syllabus that is happening for the respective fields. If it is management, it will be happening at one place. If it is IT, to Mukesh Patel College will be taking it somewhere, you know, in Sherpur or Navi Mumbai or Indore. So this is how it is happening. I am truly in with sir that, you know, the transition that takes for a student from where the student has come till the student has joined you, it's a big transition, big transition. Those 3, 4 or 5 years, look at the hard work of the teachers and the mentors they have done. Honestly, it's a very big hard work.
Sure. Appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah.
All right, so thank you so much, everybody. It was indeed a very knowledgeable and at the same time very insightful session.